Day 2 of Diddy's criminal trial was even more disturbing than day 1. Cassie took the stand. She wore a long brown dress and was 8 months pregnant. She didn't look at Diddy, not even once. No smile, no nod. She just walked straight to the stand like she had been waiting for this day for a long time. Maybe she had. Her voice was quiet but firm. She didn't cry. She didn't tremble. She simply told her story, and it was terrifying.
I mean, the jury had a whole night to process the disturbing details of these freak-offs that were laid out yesterday through the eyes of Cassie Ventura. The graphic details, the alleged abuse, the drug abuse. Today, they didn't have to use their imagination, though. It got real in that courtroom today when the jurors, not the public, not the press, when the jurors saw still screenshots from these freak-offs. There was something so uncomfortable about the moment. Watching the jurors see something so raw and so personal in a courtroom full of eyes and full of opinions. Cassie was the most emotional we've seen her. At times even reflecting when she heard the words come out of her mouth, saying things like, "I can't believe I dealt with that." And you gotta understand, these aren't gigantic courtrooms. Cassie and Diddy are not at opposite ends of a football field. They are feet from one another. And the only thing between them really are their lawyers. And even though all eyes were on each of them, I don't think they ever looked directly at each other. Not when she walked by him, not when she was testifying, not when at times she broke down sobbing, remembering how she loved him and just wanted him to say sorry for the things that he had done. Now, when she talked about not wanting to live anymore, or her opioid addiction, or lying to her mother about the abuse or when it started or the extent of it, the audience was shifting uncomfortably. And sometimes so did she.
Cassie said Diddy beat her, drugged her, isolated her, trafficked her, and forced her to sleep with male escorts, sometimes while he watched. It happened many times in hotels and in his homes. She said she eventually stopped resisting. She didn't feel like a person anymore, more like something he owned. She had no real friends, no one to turn to, and no way out. Diddy filmed these encounters. Sometimes he showed her the videos to humiliate her. Other times he threatened her with them, saying he'd ruin her if she left. Earlier that day, a male escort named Daniel Phillip testified. He said Diddy paid him thousands to sleep with Cassie while Diddy watched. Daniel said Cassie looked terrified, like she wasn't really there. Afterward, he felt sick, like whatever happened wasn't truly consensual.
She testified about having to hide under a toilet to get away from Diddy. She revealed getting a gash by her eyebrow after he threw it into a bed frame in front of her friends. She said she got stomped in the face on the floor of Diddy's Escalade for the duration of a ride home. And she claimed throughout their time together that she felt, well, powerless to make the choice to escape. Now, to make her point, Cassie talked about going to a hotel when Diddy beat her after a party in Los Angeles. She said she didn't want to stay, but felt she couldn't leave. She testified, quote, "It was not safe. I didn't have the resources I needed to get out and move, to get out and not have anybody stop me." You know, Cassie went on to say, I understood Sean's capabilities, his access to guns, and the threats that he made prior to that. Cassie clarified her testimony from yesterday as well, saying that there were times that she did try to fight back or even initiated violence. She testified she did so earlier on in their relationship, but she quickly found out it could backfire, telling the prosecutors, quote, that it could escalate the fight more and make it worse for myself. When the prosecutor asked what she meant by that, Cassie said, quote, "Just make him more violent, make him stronger, want to push me harder in that situation."
Daniel also shared that one night, he heard loud noises and shouting behind a door. A few minutes later, Cassie walked out, shaking. Her face was bruised. She didn't say anything. She just looked down and walked past him. The defense claimed Cassie stayed with Diddy for the money. They argued she could have left, but the prosecution pushed back, saying trauma is complicated. Control doesn't always look like chains. Sometimes it looks like love or luxury.
You know, Cassie also described the leverage, that's the word she used, leverage Diddy had over her. She said that leverage came in the form of blackmail, those videos specifically of the freak-offs. She testified that Diddy threatened to release them when he got angry. Cassie said, quote, "One time I dated someone else, and that is what it was all about. I'm going to put out 2 embarrassing videos of you. He just wanted to hurt me. Now, Cassie's direct testimony is actually now over. The defense, though, they're gonna get their chance to cross-examine her and go into the details again tomorrow morning. I want to begin with CNN entertainment correspondent Elizabeth Wagmeister, who you and I have been bosom buddies in this court. We've been sitting next to each other watching it all go down, and you have a unique perspective on all this and the coverage you've been doing. Talk to me, though, about the scope and of the violence and the intimidation that she laid out in court today.
Yeah, Laura, so as you said, her first day of testimony yesterday really focused on these freak-offs. Today focused on the physical abuse, the domestic violence. This was the first time that the jury saw photographic evidence of the injuries. You mentioned this gash on her eyebrow. We saw bruises all over her body, a black eye, a fat lip. I want to walk you through just some of the instances that Cassie brought up when she testified today. One time she said that she and her girlfriends, they went to Prince's party. Yes, the musician Prince. Diddy was there. He didn't know she was going to be there. He got angry and she said, quote, "He f***ed me up." She said that after they broke up in 2018, that he raped her in her living room at her home.
While Cassie testified, Diddy sat still, arms crossed, eyes locked on her. Sometimes he wrote something in a notebook, but he never looked away. When Cassie stepped down, the room was silent. No whispers, no reactions, just her heels hitting the floor and the door closing behind her. She was only 22 when Diddy introduced her to what he called freak-offs. At first, it seemed like a twisted fantasy, but it became a regular part of her life, one that made her feel used and worthless.
They're showing an incident from Toronto. She said she put her hair over her eye to hide a bruise, and then they went to the Hamptons. She said that Sean Combs wanted to then have a freak-off in the Hamptons, so they got a hotel and an escort. She said that the escort was named Dave. She took the drug GHB and she went into a G-hole, which sounds like some type of blackout. She woke up and she was naked in the shower, and Dave and Sean were freaking out. "I bugged out. It wasn't pretty," is what she said in the testimony. She said, "Then what?" Ventura responded, "I spoke to a friend of Sean's and then we had a freak off." And then they showed another photograph, and it shows her eyebrow that had healed up a little bit a week later, and she has a permanent scar on her eyebrow, she said, from this. And she is shown another photo from the Cannes Film Festival. She said Sean accused her of taking drugs from his boat and threw her off of the boat, but her passport was still on the boat. She was on the red carpet for some type of event that night, and she said she attended the movie. They then went to New York. There was a commercial flight that they took. She traded her seat to get away, but he traded to get next to her. What did he show you? Freak-off videos. So we've heard about this, him showing videos and then using that as kind of blackmail material, if you will. She said that he played the freak-off videos for me on one of his laptops. He said he would release them. So that's some pretty compelling evidence.
Before these freak-offs, Diddy had rules. Cassie's nails had to be white or French-tipped. Her body had to look perfect, tanned, waxed, and slim. He made comments about her looks, her body, even the way she walked or talked. She said she wasn't just showing up, she was being prepared, like for a performance. The first freak-off happened in his LA bedroom. She didn't know the other man. He was just paid to be there. She had taken ecstasy and drank alcohol to numb herself. Diddy directed everything: lighting, outfits, even using baby oil. She had to wear wigs and masks. It all felt unreal. Legal experts say Cassie's testimony could be key in this case.
Cassie can talk about and identify the sex workers that may have been involved, identify the locations, because again, in order for this to be a federal case, you've got to cross state lines. So if you have to establish that these activities happened in New York, happened in Miami, happened in California, that you were forcibly transferred or had to travel to each of these different locations. So the videos are going to be important from that perspective. But again, I don't think everybody's going to sit there and, watch, sex tape after sex tape after sex tape and watch Cassie be, basically brutalized 10 different ways from sunrise. I don't see that happening, but I do see some snippets coming in. But I do got to say one more thing, because my inner prosecutor wants to go after what Brad said.
Yeah, I had a feeling Melba was going to have something to say about what Bradford was saying. So go on, Melba.
Yeah. But most importantly,
I think that Melba's bringing the velvet hammer to you,
Oh,
Bradford, not a
Melba's
velvet
great.
glove, a velvet hammer.
Melba's
So
fantastic.
go on,
She's
Melba.
always been fantastic. I welcome it.
Well, one thing I will say, first of all, is that sadly, I think all of us know people who have stayed in abusive relationships for a lifetime. And we know people that have died as a result of domestic violence relationships.
Cassie said one freak-off could last all night and include several sessions. Diddy controlled everything, when it started, when it ended. Eventually, it became a weekly routine. She used drugs like Molly, cocaine, and ecstasy just to get through it. She didn't say no. Not because she agreed, but because she didn't want to make him angry. She said his eyes would go black when he was mad, and that terrified her.
She said that she and her girlfriends, they went to Prince's party. Yes, the musician Prince. Diddy was there. He didn't know she was going to be there. He got angry, and she said, quote, "He beat me up." She said that after they broke up in 2018, that he raped her in her living room at her home. She also said that it wasn't just her, that one time he held one of her friends over the balcony on the 17th floor of her apartment in Los Angeles and hit another one of her friends with a wooden hanger.
And she lost that friendship. That was a best friend of 17 years she described, and then they don't communicate any longer. I'm curious to see how the prosecution might develop those connections a little bit more fulsomely.
I saw him drag an assistant out of bed. I saw him punch Eli in his head. One time in Turks and Caicos, he dragged a person. I believe we had a freak off in Turks and Caicos. What floor did you live on at Comstock? The 17th floor. Did a friend stay with you? Yes. Sean came and held her and threw her on the patio furniture out over the balcony. I saw Sean bring her back in from over the balcony, and then he threw her on the patio furniture. And Carrie Morgan, I saw Sean hit her in the head. Did you get substances on your own? Occasionally opiates. Sean would put pills in a vitamin C bottle on the sink in the New York apartment. He'd say, "You can take them." He had doctors who would write the scripts in his name of his assistant or in my name. Your brother's birthday party in Connecticut of 2013. What happened? My mother told me someone was taking pictures of me, and I went and punched her in the head. You testified that your relationship with Sean ended in 2018. How was your health? I was sleepwalking. I had PTSD. Defense rules objection. What is this? A photo of my front door in 2018. Publish it to the jury. Why is there a knife there? Sean was coming around a lot, so I had it. August of 2018, what happened? We have a closure conversation at a restaurant in Malibu. He was trying to convince me to go to Burning Man. Were you seeing anyone? My now husband, Alex Spine. What happened next? Sean came to my house and AR'd me on the living room floor. His eyes were black. It was like taking something from you. You cried? What did Sean do? He continued and finished inside of me and then got up and left.
Cassie admitted the only part she liked was the one-on-one time with Diddy, but even then, she felt invisible. She was just playing a role. She once tried to talk to him about how it made her feel. He brushed her off, called her predictable. In one email, he even asked, "Who you gonna want to call someone?" thinking she wanted to invite more people, but she only wanted to be with him. They wore wigs, masks, heels, afraid someone might recognize them. These sessions happened across cities: New York, Miami, Vegas, even Turks and Caicos. Staff brought candles, baby oil, sometimes 10 bottles in one night. That's how extreme it got.
Had a good night. I went back to his house. Can you explain why you did that after he R-worded you? We had been together for 10 years. Who did you stay in touch with? Most people, though I pulled away. What did you message Sean about after that? Just checking in. What did he send you? That he had iPads full of images. Get him his money. Money back for what? For having paid my now husband to be my trainer. What did you write back? Do you want me to tell you the truth? It's much deeper than iPads. There's abuse. more than freak offs. There was a time that I couldn't take my pain and I tried to walk out in traffic. My husband wouldn't let me. I had trauma therapy. Did you write? A book with chapters. My mom helped. What did you want with the book? That Sean read it. What pain did Sean put you through? Shame to carry the things that were shameful for him. I took on a lot of responsibility for that I never should have. He brought the concept to me when I was 22. It was expected of me, and I felt terrible. How did you get the chapters to Sean? Through my attorney, and I reached out to KK. I asked her if he read it. She said it was not taken seriously. How much did you ask for the book? $30 million. Did you sue? November 2023. Why are you testifying in this trial? I can't carry this anymore. What's wrong is wrong. I treated people like they were disposable. Escorts, anybody. How many freak-offs did you have with Sean? It's impossible to know. Hundreds.
In court, Cassie finally opened up about how it all made her feel. She broke down. She said she felt like an object and believed that was all she was good for. The rooms weren't just dark. They were designed, lit with red, blue, and purple. Studio lights. It looked more like a music video set than a real place.
Sort of headshots of people, dozens that they have shown already, and they're trying to put that together. What we're still waiting to hear more from, including through the cross-examination, which they will definitely try to undermine, is to what extent Cassie herself was forced, coerced, threatened into sex trafficking, which must include her non-consent.
Combs' team will begin their cross-examination of Cassie Ventura tomorrow, which I'm sure she is dreading. What are you expecting from their cross?
They're going to have a strategy that takes into consideration optics. One of the things the defense didn't even want to do, they didn't want her to even walk down that center hallway as she passed by the jurors, visibly pregnant, to sit down and describe her life before she was a married woman with now 3 children expected, 2 already here with her. They're going to have to adapt in the sense of being straightforward, direct, but not allowing these jurors to conflate the yesterday Cassie Ventura with today. But I'll tell you, they have a hard task ahead of them in that sense, because as she was describing, Jake, the abuse at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs, including at one point saying that she had been kicked in the back, she moved her body to almost mimic that. The optics were real.
Take us inside the courtroom, Laura. What was Diddy Combs' demeanor while Cassie was testifying? Because I'm sure his attorneys told him to behave a certain way. Don't scowl at her, don't be angry. What did he do?
Oh, every defense counsel knows that every eye in that courtroom is on the defendant, trying to read every emotion, interpret every single look and glance. He kept his eyes trained on her throughout the testimony, often writing notes, however, to his counsel, leaning over, shifting in his seat, crossing and then recrossing his legs, and finally landing on a position where he held his hands, fingers intertwined, on his lap before adjusting again.
Cassie said the rooms were hot, uncomfortably warm. They used extra linens to protect hotel sheets because there was sometimes blood and urine. She said she was expected to take part even during her period. We've heard before that Diddy had extreme sexual habits. Cassie confirmed it.
And this story starts when I'm with Puff and he's in the exotic bookstores and he's doing shopping, right? He's shopping, getting his stuff and everything like that. So, you know, this is the first time I was ever in an exotic bookstore with Puff. So, you know, I'm giving him his space. He's taking things off the shelves and stuff like that, because they gave him a brown paper bag. When they gave him a brown paper bag, he was just putting stuff in there. So I said, damn, you know, he got to go put it on the counter and, you know, show everybody what he's getting. So as he going, I'm just looking at the places where he picking stuff from. So there's one part he picked up some things from up here on my left side. And then he picked like quite a few of them down. I'm like, okay. He put them in the bag. So when I went by there and I looked up there and it said butt plugs. And I was like, hey, yo. I was messing with him. Because people don't understand, you know, we was like friends. He was a part of the same gang. So I'm still gonna tease him. I'm still gonna mess with him and everything like that. I could do that. It wasn't just no security thing. So I say, yo, what are you getting this for? And it said butt plugs, and he was like, yo, can I do my shopping by myself? I said, yeah, you can do it by yourself, brother. And he started walking and everything like that. When he got to, I just waited at the counter. When he got to the counter, he didn't even have to show the guy nothing. He just gave the guy a wad of money. I mean, like, he gave the guy a stack, something like this. And Puff wasn't the dude that carried no 20s and no 50s and nothing like that. And I mean, like, he just said, boom. And we walked out the store. So I'm hearing at the door and stuff like that, like, yeah. So then next thing you know, somebody rang the doorbell. We had the presidential suite where we was at. So I opened the door and the dude said, yo, I'm here for my cousin. I said, who your cousin? And he said, Ja Rule. I said, well, he busy right now. He said, he busy doing what? I said, he with Puff, they're in the room, they busy, they don't want to be bothered. He said, well, I'm going in there. I said, bruh, you ain't going in there because he told me they don't want nobody to be bothering them. He was like, yo, I don't care, man, I'm going in there. That bull like that. I said, yo, bruh, Jesus Christ had to come down here and take the air out of my body before you get in that room right there. Watch. He tried to bum rush me. I grabbed him and threw him against the piano. When I threw him into the piano, Puff and Ja Rule runs out the room. Puff got his towel, Ja grabbing his towel, but they butt the naked. And so then Ja was like, yo, what's going on? Yo, G, that's my cousin. He know me well, you know, and Puff was like, yo, G, what happened? I said, he tried to get in the room. I told him he couldn't get in the room. And he was like, Puff looked at Ja. He said, yo, Ja said, you ain't want to go in that room because there's a lot of freaking going on. So I was like, oh, he said it was a lot of freaking going on.
Cassie also mentioned something shocking. There are allegations that Diddy's mother was involved in the freak-offs.
Oh, Diddy mom is being accused of helping Diddy steal money. It's a guy named D1 that's suing her.
I think that they accusing Diddy mom of stealing anything is wrong. All she did was allow him to put certain things in her name to protect. If at any time, because of some of the things that he was doing and the nature of what he was doing and he knew he was doing to people, if he ever sued, he'd probably be safe having money and things in her name. Do you understand that? See, I don't believe Miss Combs gave that stuff up a long time ago when she used to do her little modeling thing with her little ladies of the night, the little wild parties. When she gave that up, I don't think she was in the business. I don't think she was in the business to know exactly where the money's going, how's coming in, who she taking it from. He was just doing it and putting it and had the authority to put it in her name. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you think she knew what he was doing?
I believe she knew he was doing the freak-offs, but do I believe she knew he was allocating different monies to different places and which way it was going, which offshore accounts, which Swiss banks accounts and all this shit was going in? Nah. I think she just was enjoying the fruits of the labor.
But why you believe she knew about the freak-offs?
Because one of the witnesses said she was there. People had to take IVs. Remember the time that him and his mama kissed each other on the lips?
Yeah, I remember that video.
Do you remember that both of them was getting an IV at the same time?
Yeah, I did notice that, yep.
That's from the Diddy freak-off party. And I'm gonna say allegedly.
So let me ask you this. You knowing her at one point, you knowing her personally, is she the kind of person that, you know, will be a part of a freak-off or no?
I think that she liked to party, and she partied with young people. She's always been like that. She always copied or emulated Little Kim and Mary J. Blige, or they emulated her. The blonde hair, the nails, the high boots, the age-appropriate, inappropriate clothing that I want to say, because I know people going to drag me through it. I'm like, what you mean? She's 70, 80 years old. She don't have to wear she can wear hot pants if she want to. Okay, all right. You can't make nothing dust moist.
Was she a freak?
I don't want to speak about that man mama like that, bruh. Was his mama a freak? I don't know that about her.
In one of the most disturbing moments, Cassie said Diddy and another woman urinated on her. She didn't want it. She didn't ask for it, but she was high and overwhelmed. She even started choking. She said she felt disgusted and ashamed. But Diddy seemed turned on. This didn't happen just once. It happened enough that it haunted her. She didn't scream. She didn't fight. She thought it was clear she didn't want it. Afterward, staff cleaned up the mess. Sometimes it cost thousands in damages. Cassie is expected to continue testifying for another day or two, but this was the first time she told the full story out loud. With Diddy right there, it wasn't just hard to hear, it was heavy, and we're only halfway through the trial. What do you think will happen next? Let us know in the comments.